On today's show, hear all about the Boston Marathon,
email marketing campaigns for the election,
IKEA squeezing 2,800 products into a single banner ad,
how Nike's using Twitter to announce new product releases,
Frisky Friday,
and Honda's new approach to Pinterest. All this coming up in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Hi, welcome to the Marketing Update. It's April 20th, 2012, and we're coming to you live from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm Rachel Sprung.
And I'm Patrick Shea.
And we're obviously not Karen and Mike.
We are not. We are not your regular hosts because the truth... Better looking, thank you. But the truth is, everybody at HubSpot right now is at Fenway Park except us. There's no one here to man the desk except for Rachel and I.
So we were the only ones who could do the show.
Well, I think actually that's a win-win because we have a heck of an episode put together.
We do, we do. So interact with us on Twitter on hashtag MKTGUp. Lots of tweets. We want tons of tweets.
We want tons of tweets. And as always, this episode and all the other episodes are on iTunes. So go check out our iTunes channel. Give us 5, 6, 7 stars, as many as you're allowed to. The content is great. And anyone is welcome to stop by the show as part of their regular Friday routine. Yep. So you guys are here, but those of you out in TV land that want to come next week, 4 o'clock, the beer is free, the chips are good.
It's true. We'll be here.
We'll be here. So, a lot of great stories came out in the headlines, and the first one we're going to start with, obviously today in Boston is a very big sports day. It's the 100th anniversary of Fenway Park. The Red Sox are currently losing to the Yankees, but it was also, hiss.
On Monday was the Boston Marathon, so lots of things are going on in Boston.
Right, and it's interesting because we're seeing it all tied together through social. And the Boston sports scene on a very big week in Boston went social. Did you go to the Boston Marathon by chance?
Well, HubSpot didn't give us off, so I was here working.
That's right. Rachel sits right next to me. I knew the answer to my question, but that's what is that? That's chemistry right there.
Yeah.
That's chemistry. So what was really interesting about this is that the marathon knows how people stand on Heartbreak Hill, people go out to Ashland, people go to Hopkinton, they're all over the place. And the crowd is very social, and big events like that get charged by social media. Yeah. So people are tweeting where they are, they're tweeting they saw their friend, they're taking pictures.
They're using Instagram, there were posts all over the place.
So what John Hancock did, which was very cool because they're one of the marathon's oldest sponsors, even older than Adidas, is they did a social media visualization map where they tracked start to finish, Hopkinton to the finish line on Boylston Street, and you used the geolocation magic to kind of say who was where, tweeting what, in pictures. So you could actually see, here's what it looks like in Ashland at the start, and here's how people look when they're coming around the corner on Hereford, and they look much different at those different points.
So it was really cool to go back and look at the map and see all the Instagram pictures, and it really told the story, especially since this year it was 90 on Monday.
Yeah, it was a very graphic story to see. People looked much different. People looked much different. Yeah.
So what's the marketing takeaway?
I think the marketing takeaway for this, I think there are a couple of them. I think the first is that people need to acknowledge that their user bases use these different platforms. So it's not just about, well, we've got 100 Twitter followers, let's go heavy into Twitter. You need to acknowledge that people are on these different places. Whether or not you've got the budget to put everything together like Hancock did aside, but the idea is that people are on different platforms. Make sure your messages are in those different places.
But it was cool because John Hancock normally isn't really out there on social media, and I mean, they're at the end of the finish line for the Boston Marathon, and they really took advantage of getting in touch with Boston. Right. I think it was cool if they did that. And
it's also cool how their sponsorship has kind of evolved with the marathon. I think they really started sponsoring the event like 30 or 40 years ago when banners on the finish line were the main way, but now they've actually tied it into how people watch and how people view the marathon, which is cool.
Really cool.
Very cool.
So our next story comes in from Maggie, and this is about...
That's right.
This is all about email marketing and the presidential campaign.
We are stepping out of the sports world, and we're diving headfirst into politics on this one.
So there was a research study that was done. They took a 44-day sample of emails that presidential candidates were sending out. And it's interesting because you're looking at professional politicians who can't really market themselves. So some of the tips that we saw from this is that it's really important to segment when you're sending out emails. And also they looked at open rates and link clicks and video views over time, and they had to adjust some of their email campaigns with that. But I think the most interesting part was there were some politicians who sent out emails that were 1,100 words, and most people are opening their emails on their phones. So who's really reading an email with 1,100 words?
Yeah, there were some great statistics in this study. Everything from like how frequently people were sending, some of the we won't name names. We'll put the link. But some of these Republican candidates were sending emails almost 3 emails every 3 days. And they weren't paying attention to open rates and things like that. Yeah. So some bad practices, but like as Rachel said, lots of people are catching up with like political news on the train on their smartphones, and these guys were sending 1,100 word emails.
Yeah, and some were even including the news articles right in the email.
Not even articles. They were really just kind of syndicating stories about themselves through a method I believe is called cutting and pasting.
Yes.
Right. Right.
That's the technical term.
So the savviness is just not there. It's not what you would expect for a professional political machine. Where I think us marketers still have some edge.
Yeah, so the marketing takeaway from this is you need to give shorter, simpler messages that really just get to the point and can keep your audience's attention.
Right, it's a great one. Moving along, so where have we been? We've been to sports, we've been to politics. Do you want to go to retail?
Yeah, let's go to retail.
How many people have been to an IKEA store? Look at that, the crowd goes wild. So this one is about how IKEA squeezed 280 products into a single banner ad.
2,800.
2,800. That's a lot. So we've got a story here about advertising, about like a single ad. It better be good, right?
Yeah.
So what IKEA did is they took the entire catalog of their store, 2,800 products, and put it into one 300 by 250 pixel banner ad.
Yeah. This was really, really cool and got a lot of attention. So when you went to the banner ad, if you scrolled over it, the pictures were magnified, so you can kind of look through their catalog. And it might not be the most efficient way you want to look through their catalog, but it definitely got a lot of attention and really said something about IKEA's brand.
Because if anyone in this crowd happens to live in a space less than 1,000 square feet, they've probably purchased something at IKEA.
Yeah.
And while they don't necessarily like message and stand for it, IKEA is kind of like the apartment dwellers like home furnishing store. So these guys actually did a really cool thing about putting a lot of things into a small space and seem to kind of reinforce what they stand for.
Yeah. So anyone who's shopping for apartment furniture is going to IKEA, and it was really cool.
So now you can kind of get that thematic thing as well as Swedish meatballs and a fun tour through the store.
Win-win.
Win-win. Meatballs are win-win.
So what's the marketing takeaway?
I think the marketing takeaway is to think of different and visual ways to kind of communicate your messaging. And those guys probably took some stuff that came from market research that, apartment dwellers love us, they know X, Y, and Z about us. How can we execute on that? And they came up with a very clever visual way of doing it. Where banner ads are kind of sometimes get glazed over, this one got a lot of attention. We thought they deserved it.
A ton of attention, yep.
Absolutely.
So our next story, this is a story about Nike, and they are now moving some of their product releases to Twitter. So a little background on this, Nike's product releases have been compared to Apple's product releases. People line up on the streets outside the stores, and there's even riots to get the latest sneaker. So they're doing something different now, and they're going to have their product launches on Twitter. So basically, you follow a hashtag and you tweet to the hashtag, and you have the opportunity, if chosen, for Nike to pick you to get their latest sneaker.
It's interesting because they've taken the phenomenon of the wrap around the store line, and they said, actually, we're going to do everything on this social media platform.
Yeah, and this is huge because they're using the hashtag, more people are following them, and they're reaching a larger audience who might not have known that there was a new Nike shoe coming out.
Exactly. And one thing I love about this is because there have been riots and fights and scrapes and cuts and punches thrown over the new Air Jordans, right? So they're taking this kind of group of socially unfit people that can't even wait in line together, and they're moving them onto social media, and it's actually doing a tremendous amount for them, right?
Yeah.
Because if you think about these people who are so, they're such a dedicated piece of the Nike fan base, they're so crazy about their products, Nike's introducing them to the hashtag that they're probably then going to use when they get their shoes. They'll probably take a picture, use the hashtag. So Nike's almost building in this possibility that they could get tremendous Twitter exposure with every shoe release that they do.
I mean, you're following the hashtag, you're using it when you try to get the shoe, you're using it again at the store, and then your friends are asking you, what's this hashtag? It's just huge. It scales.
Because I found out before the show that Rachel's father is actually a big sneaker fanatic.
Yeah.
Do you want to say a little bit more about that? I don't want to. I don't want to touch that one.
So, well, so my father basically has a pair of sneakers for every basketball outfit he has. So he's one of the people that he might not stand in line waiting for the shoe, but he's pretty pumped when a new sneaker comes out. So all the Jordans, they're in his closet.
But so for someone like your dad, maybe he doesn't have a lot of like sneaker buddies to talk to.
Yeah.
You know, maybe like the sneaker fanatic is only like 1 out of 10. But what Nike does is Nike puts all those 1 out of 10s on the same hashtag, and they just love it, and it probably blows up.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the marketing takeaway for this one is engage with the community who's currently listening, and try to scale with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So take them away from the riots and move them
online.
Move them to less physical confines like online social media, which is great. And that was a really interesting story, and it kind of leads us, and it's we're going to kind of follow a hashtag theme, right? Because we were talking about the hashtag of ordering new Nikes, and we've got a great story about how Playboy is using a hashtag to grow their social media following. Really.
Frisky Friday.
Everyone's involved with Frisky Friday. So here's what happened with Frisky Friday. So about 2 years ago, a lady was interviewing to become the social media director of Playboy. And part of her audition or interview process was that she had to put together a 2-year plan for the social media future of Playboy. And one of the things was this idea that she's like, I've got to figure out how to get Playmates tweeting pictures of themselves. Because like that's the whole thing with Playboy, right? It's like it's pictures of these women. So and it wasn't hashed out that way, but when she got the job, she started working with certain Playmates. As Rachel blushes and blushes and blushes. There's a blushing meter here. But she started working with these Playmates, and a couple of them started to share pictures. And that encouraged behavior in more Playmates, and they came up with their own hashtag.
Frisky Friday.
Which was Frisky Friday, which, as you can imagine, ended up getting a lot of attention from the male population.
These stats are actually out of this world.
They're out of this world. So in the time since she's launched this, which was at the beginning of 2011, their Twitter following has grown by 300%. And if you can find a better statistic than that, it's this one, which is that their daily followers triple every Friday compared to other days of the week. And so the Frisky Friday thing is it's
blowing up. And on Fridays they get 50,000 mentions and 350,000 clicks.
Right. So this hashtag that revolves around that hashtag in Playboy, it's not only males. It's actually because there are a lot of like aspiring models that follow Playboy. So there's like male female interaction, and Playboy is just cleaning up.
Yeah.
And what did we hear about the smoking jacket?
Oh, and so after, there's one picture chosen every Friday.
Right, there's a winner. That's what we were trying to say. There's a winner.
And that goes up on this page called the Smoking Jacket, which is apparently Hugh Hefner's jacket.
I read that it's Hugh Hefner's jacket.
And so they're kind of awarded for posting their picture.
Right. The smokingjacket.com is Playboy's safe for work website. And they post the winner there every Friday. So it's like they take this, they get a ton of engagement around it, and then they spread it out across all these different channels. And the numbers lie. Numbers don't lie.
Numbers
right?
don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
They
So
don't lie.
the power behind this, whatever the lady's name is that got that job, probably has some job security.
Yeah,
this thing is kicking butt.
So what's the marketing takeaway for this?
The marketing gosh, create remarkable content. Is that it?
It's true.
That's
it works.
probably it. That's one. But I think the other one is kind of building a routine, like a familiar routine for your user bases, your followers, whatever you call it. Like we're almost kind of doing it right here with our Marketing Up hashtag. We do it every Friday. It's kind of create that forum for your followers and community members to kind of gather around every week And if you get them in that habit, they're always thinking about you. Like they're always thinking about Marketing Update or Frisky Friday or whatever your hashtag is.
So just like Playboy, we're creating remarkable content here.
This is remarkable. If nothing else, it's remarkable. Speaking of remarkable content, we have some people want to know what our unicorn is here.
Oh, so this is the golden unicorn that's given out every week at the marketing meetings. And this past week, Patrick won it. So.
And the week before, Rachel won it. And we sit next to each other, so there was a 3-foot exchange of the golden unicorn. So we thought it would be our mascot for the show.
Yeah.
It's apparently getting a lot of attention out there on the Twitter sphere. So
I like that. I like that.
Let's say, so actually Megan Keeney is saying that there are a lot of isms from Marketing Update so far. Apparently she's going to use the phrase meatballs are a win-win again. She's going to use that again. Geolocating magic.
I like that. That was my favorite, I think.
That's copyrighted. Socially unfit people, which came out wrong, but sounds pretty good. Actually, sounds pretty good.
I like it.
Sounds pretty good. We'll see if that URL is available after the show. So we did the marketing update. We're done with
the takeaway, yes.
Okay, the blushing is over.
Yes, the blushing is over.
Okay.
So now we can talk about Honda using Pinterest for their latest campaign. So Honda's doing something where they offer $500 to people who will take what they call a hashtag Pintermission and stop pinning for 24 hours and actually go out and do what they're pinning. So it's really cool because Pinterest is all about pinning things that you're interested in and that you would like to do, but Honda is also about some of those intentions and really going out and making the most of your life.
Definitely. And since since the Super Bowl, Honda's been running an ad campaign that is called your bucket list. And the whole idea is that you want to run a marathon, you want to bungee jump off a bridge, you want to go cliff diving, you need a car to get there. We're the enabler of your bucket list. So they're very subtly saying here that if you're spending a couple of hours online assembling yourself on boards on Pinterest, you're probably not doing that base jumping that you wanted to do.
Yeah, so they're giving you the money to do it, and it's really cool. So then you pin a picture that's saying that you're taking a Pintermission, and you go out and do it. So it's promotion for them, but it's also really cool for the people who get to go out and do all these incredible things. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what kind of traction they get with it. So what's the marketing takeaway on Pintermission?
So know how people use the platforms you're active in.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. No, that's good. No, it's definitely good, and I think that Honda they know that theme, and they're kind of driving people towards it, which is great. Which is great. Cool. So I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Well, what's the marketing tip of the week?
Oh, the marketing tip of the week. The marketing tip of the week was everything we kind of talked about here. There was like a theme, and the theme was almost themes, right? So there were lots of people talking about starting campaigns and executing on campaigns and making sure you follow through on things kind of start to finish. So when you're building a campaign, really think about all of your different channels, all of the different ways that you can spread that message and kind of continue that campaign and make sure you follow through on it.
And think about your brand. Like IKEA was a perfect example about how they knew what their brand message wanted to be, and so they just put it into everything that they did, all their campaigns.
Right.
So what are you doing this weekend?
I am going to the Red Sox game tomorrow.
101st.
The 101st game, that's right. It probably won't receive as much publicity as the 100th game, the 100th year anniversary, but I'm going to the 101 game. It's Red Sox Yankees tomorrow afternoon. The weather's looking better than it did at the beginning of the week, so I'm pleased about that. And what about you?
Well, my sister and brother-in-law are here this weekend.
Very exciting.
They're actually here with their
HubSpot actually in the audience. They're in the audience.
So we'll be doing that.
That's fantastic.
Hey.
That's great. So
we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.